data. Last but not least, the consultancy partner you'll carve out the strategy must have a rather successful track record, both in business and product consulting. Mrs. Kelly Panagiotidou, Partner People Operations, and Mr. Harris Christopoulos, Agile Coach at Reborn, respectively, will give us their take upon how an enterprise can be agile with Agile. Good morning to both of you. Probably have to unmute because...
Yes, absolutely. The line of 20 and maybe 2020 and maybe 2021, right? Exactly. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
The pleasure is all us. Please carry on. Thank you.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm Harris, and we're here with Kelly from Reborn, and we're going to talk to you today about being agile with Agile. Probably you should have noticed that there is a distinction on how we wrote this. We wrote the Agile with a small a and the Agile with a capital A, and there is a reason for that. Agile with a small a refers to an adjective, is being agile. So Agile, written this way, is a philosophy, not a set of business practices. It outlines a way of thinking and acting accordingly, and it describes a culture. It's actually the ability to create and to respond to change. It is also the way of dealing with an uncertain environment. So, for example, during COVID that we are experiencing over the last year, many companies demonstrated an agile mindset, we can tell, and an agile culture by quickly adopting new changes and adapting to the new reality. Yet others haven't. So now, Agile written with A usually refers to a framework. And a framework is a set of values and principles that, when applied, can enable an organization to deliver meaningful work faster. An Agile framework has specific rules, roles, and routines. For example, we can say that an organization practices Agile by applying the Scrum or the Kanban framework. Our purpose today, however, is not to teach you about Agile frameworks and what they're all about, because we consider this to be the easy part of the process. It is rather to show you how you can become more agile with a small a, regardless of the framework that you will decide to follow.
Yeah, so today we would rather share with you our learnings from the projects that we have run helping legacy organizations create agile cultures by introducing agile frameworks or a version of them. Later today, we will also have the opportunity to deep dive in one of these case studies, the one of the Coca-Cola company. So the learnings that we're going to share now are going to become a little bit more specific in a while. Let's start with the first one that we believe is the most important one. It's actually that one size does not fit all. Maybe you have heard about the infamous Spotify model. You may know its success at Spotify, but do you know its failures around the world? I mean, many organizations have praised it and copied it. Some still do. But guess what? It didn't work, at least not for all of them. So the context may be different. The organization is different. The market is different. The product is different. You need to transform your organization based on your context. Understand how your success looks like, and then find the best way to get there. For example, Vodafone is applying Scrum and it works very well for their reality. Maybe it doesn't work for your reality. Or if you decide, for example, to apply Scrum, maybe you want to be more picky on the exact elements of it. The second learning, and one that actually is something that all Agile frameworks share, is that the focus should be on the people. So Your teams are your experts, right? Your heroes. You need to help them unleash their hidden potential in order to thrive, and provide them with the tools and the best practices that will enable that, but don't impose them. I mean, there shouldn't be an agile police. How you can do that? Well, for sure, you need to define the rules of the game and be consistent with them. When you decide the rules of the game, they need to be the same for every team within your organization. But then leave your teams actually self-manage themselves. And then focus on how your people are experiencing these change. Listen to them, get frequent feedback, and then ensure that you have the proper mechanism in place to respond to it. Maybe your people, for example, are struggling to give feedback to each other, or maybe they're struggling to identify their backlog priorities, or they are struggling to understand the dynamics within the team and what it means to be self-managed. Especially in legacy organizations that are used into completely different ways of working, this is for sure going to be a challenge. So focus more on that.
Next thing is continuous development. So adopting an agile mindset is a lifelong journey, as we say. It's not just a promised land. Thus, we can say that continuous development is the boat on which you embark for this journey. You can certainly use workshops, you can use trainings, you can use whatever you want, but this as a tool, not as a main purpose. What you should really aim for is to develop your people on a day-to-day, on-the-job basis. So to adopt the agile mindset and become independent in the agile way of thinking and working. Under this context, what we do as agile coaches with the teams is to continuously help and support them to apply the agile principles in a meaningful and effective way. So acting as agile coaches on a daily basis, we give feedback on the way that teams are practicing Scrum, for example, and also coach individually the people according to their needs. What we also strongly advise is to create internal communities of practice to ensure that the knowledge is shared and diffused within the organization. With the lead of an agile coach to this can do really miracles. So in this way, agile culture develops exponentially. And now we've heard probably about Scrum, Kanban, Extreme Programming, Agile at Scale, or other frameworks, because these are the most notable planets, let's say, in the whole Agile universe. But there are way more frameworks, tools, ways of working, practices that can really optimize your Agile transformation journey. For example, OKRs, which are pretty trendy lately, can support the team in staying focused in the work that really matters the most. Also, design sprints, the tools that we widely use, can accelerate decision-making and creativity within the teams.
So, in essence, what we say is that we suggest that you treat agile frameworks only as recipes. Try them, tweak them, experiment with them, but at the end, create your own cookbook, the one that better suits your taste. For example, a team does not need to be agile to have daily stand-ups. Maybe you decide to introduce them because they work well for you and they help your teams align. Or maybe your teams decide to hold monthly retrospectives. You can call them in a different name, doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, what you need is this routine that will give the opportunity to your team to discuss what is working well and what should be improved when it comes to their collaboration. So you don't need to worry about going big or going really complicated. What we like to do with the teams and the partners that we work with, and you can certainly do internally as well, is to co-create with the teams or with your organization. What is this cookbook that will work best for you? Incorporate the previous elements that Harris mentioned, OKRs, design sprint or not, and then start on a journey of continuous experiment loops. So does enterprise agile sound like a rocket science? It's not. It's not actually, in the sense that you can very easily learn the frameworks, the routines, the tools. It's really not that complicated. However, although it's simple, it's not easy. In what sense? In the sense that here we're talking about changing the habits of the people. And when we try to do that, then different things can hinder our effort. We know that people are very resistant to change, especially in legacy organizations that have been used to work in one way. This is very usually the challenge. Or you may lack the support of your senior leaders. If you don't have their support, don't start this journey. It's doomed to fail. Or, for example, there may be impatience internally in your organizations, like, when are we going to see the results of this change? So this is why we say it's not easy, not because it's complicated in the sense of learning how to do it.
So right now, you may be wondering, how would I start? And it's normal to ask this question. So here we will present a 5-step approach on how you can start your Agile journey. First and foremost, you need to understand your why. You need to define the problem that you're trying to solve. So what's your driving need actually? Could that be processes or outcomes are taking too long in your organization, or that employee engagement is low, or that you don't fully capitalize on your people's talents? You have to be able to define this and clearly articulate this reason why you want to create an agile culture or to adopt an agile framework. Step number 2, define how success looks like for you. Define specifically the impact that you want to see in your organization. You have to be that concrete. For example, we want to reduce the go-to-market time by 40%, or we want to improve employee engagement by 20%. Of course, you need to ensure in all that this goal is a priority for your business leaders as well. Step number 3, assess your current situation. Every arrival has a departure, right? So where are you departing from to embark on this agile journey? You need to assess, and you need to depict and to get mindful of the current state of your organization in order to create your map for your journey and to define the next steps that you need to take further. Step number 4, don't change everything at once. Please don't, because this is not only impossible to achieve, but it also increases the chances of resistance. As we said before, people resist to change naturally. So as we're trying to build new habits, we are aiming at marginal gains. Just make small improvements. As Agile coaches, we are strong supporters of the experiments and the loops and the feedbacks that we create. So these loops will give you the opportunity to fix what is not working in your organization before scaling the change. In other words, step number 5, you have to keep in mind that you always need to inspect and adapt. Look back every so often to assess the steps and decisions that you've taken. See where they led you, where you've landed, and how you want to proceed further. Assess the outcomes of your experiments and improve along the way based on your current situation. Because in this case, just keep in mind that nothing should be written on stone. Step number 6, they say, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, but teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. And this second part is really what we should all aim for, because bringing in an external coach in a company or a consultant, this can do miracles, as we said, for sure, but keeping him forever will neither be sustainable nor preferable in order for the organization to keep thriving. So what you really need to do is to invest in the skills and the mindset in order to create to all the people these lifelong lasting changes to their mindset and also to your corporation. And final part, step number 7, scale up, because we all need to scale all the things, right? But be cautious, be really cautious here, because For example, like when a spoiled child grows up, misbehaviors can grow too. Likewise is happening for the organizations. If you do not build a solid basis, scaling up will also lead in scaling your problems too. So once you have a strong agile foundation that is tested, that is improved along the way, and is expanded from one to multiple teams, then you can also continue in expanding it to departments and then to the rest of the organization. So what you always have to keep in mind is that we should always be inspecting, adapting, and always aiming to improve in every single step that we take towards this agile transformation.
So we're going to, again, as I mentioned before, we're going to discuss also later, I think it's 10 to 2, with the Coca-Cola company specifically, how they introduced the agile mindset. But before we leave for now, a few words about who we are. We haven't properly introduced ourselves, actually. So this is our team. Actually, this was our team a year ago. Now we're around 35 people. We are a hybrid of consultants and makers on a mission to help visionary companies thrive in the digital economy. And we have offices in London and in Athens. We are very proud that we have people from 7 different nationalities. We really like diversity of background and also of opinion. And what we like the most is to work on those projects that they lie in this sweet spot where business, design, and data and technology meet with each other. We have many different companies that we work with, and we are very proud of that. We are, in essence, problem solvers. And if you were to, let's say, categorize the different things that we do, then that would be projects on advanced analytics, product design, and organization design, under which the enterprise agile practice that we're discussing falls under. Of course, our best is when we can combine all of this together, and we're very happy that this happens a lot of times. So we thank you very much. We are at your disposal if you would like to discuss further the different things that we shared very quickly with you today. And we hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We thank you both. Have a rest of a great day. And Kelly, we'll see you later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.